Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, we'll continue with part 9 of the body side of Lexus LF30 concept car. So in the previous lesson, I did spend some time working on the corner over here. So I think this, instead of being a sort of a Y fillet, I think it can be done as a ball corner. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's just go ahead and do a hide unselected. So just isolate the surface so that it's a little bit easier to see. So right now there is a couple of continuity problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and see if I can just trim convert all of these surfaces and see if that makes a difference. So here's what I'm going to do. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and save the surfaces over here. So I'm just going to copy and paste, just going to create a new layer. I'm just going to hide it. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's duplicate this corner over here. So I'm just going to duplicate this edge like this, and I'm actually going to get rid of this one. And let's go ahead and do a trim convert here, here, and here. Because these were used for, well, basically, I think because the edges are supposed to be lined up nicely, I think this should work. If it doesn't, we can always go back to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete all the base surfaces that were there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some of the surface. Oh, let me just grab some of the surfaces over here, and I'm just going to make sure to align them. So let's do this. I think the CV structure here is a little bit weird, but well, maybe it's okay. I don't know. First of all, I'm just going to trim this one over here so that I can align all the surfaces over here. I think this one should be okay. This one should be okay because, well, basically, actually, let's take a look. Yeah, I think that should be okay. But this one, and this one over here should align nicely. So I'm just going to grab this one too over here, and let's go ahead and trim it so that I can align all the surfaces. Okay, so let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align this one. I'm going to say edge. It looks like there was a slight movement there. And I'm going to align this one. I'm going to make sure that this is edge. I see a slight movement there. And let's make sure that this one is edge like that. And now I'm just going to make sure that this is curvature. This one doesn't really need to be aligned because it's, well, basically same surface. Now this one does need to be aligned. The only reason is because this surface over this fillet over here and this fillet over here is well, basically they share a boundary. So they need to be aligned. Same thing with this one, but this one doesn't really do that. So I'm just going to align this one. Oh, I should say this edge over here on the top and this one over here. However, it still needs to be curvature, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So align, and it's going to edge over here. Make sure it's all the way to the top. Actually, I should probably do that one too. This one over here, this one, and this one. And that's good. And I'm just going to align this one over here like that. Okay, so now this one over here, I do see a little bit of CV structure issue. I think I don't really like that. So what I'm going to do is make some adjustments. So I'm just going to delete the construction history over here. Let's grab all of these. I'm just going to say transform CV. I'm going to say slide. This one I'm going to set the mouse sensitivity to 50. Now you can probably just grab whichever arrow that works. So let me just... Actually, you know what? Let's just do a square. So I'm going to grab a square. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to use the existing surface edges in order to do it. Make sure that it's 5 to 5. And this one, 1 is going to be curvature. 3 is going to be curvature. And actually, that still gives me a little bit of skew. So maybe... You know what? Maybe I think I'm just going to leave it. I think I'm just going to push them manually. So I'm just going to push this one this way, and let's push this one this way. Okay. So now let's go ahead and I'm just going to make sure that it's all curvature though, like a perfect curvature. So I'm going to say edge over here. I think that should be good. I'm just going to delete the construction history, and just in case I impacted the fillet over here. Just going to grab this one over here, and I should probably grab this one too, just in case. So it looks like there's two of them. I don't know why. Actually, you know what? Let's just grab all of them, see what the heck is going on. Draft 4 and 2. Oh, I think this must be just a duplicate, I think. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I might have trimmed this, so that's why. That's okay. I can take care of that a little bit later. However, I'm just going to make sure that it's curvature, which it isn't. So I'm going to have to deal with that. So let's try aligning this one over here. Just going to so it was saying that's 1.0 vector. All right, so it looks like vector works a little bit better. It's still curvature here, and it's still, oh, it's 1.0. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm probably going to leave it. First of all, delete the construction history. For now, I'm just going to trim this one so that there's only, oh wow, what is this? Oh, it must be a duplicate. So I'm going to grab one of the duplicates over here. I'm going to delete it. And let's go ahead and see if I can do an align and see if that will get rid of the 1.0. Okay, so you got rid of one. So vector there, normal. I'm going to see if I can manually adjust this one. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this CV over here and this one over here. Let's say transform CV. I don't know, 500,000 is a little bit too much, but let's see. Okay, so it's 1.0 there. So I was able to get rid of some of it. Okay, so those are gone. This one might need a little bit of adjustment. So let's grab this CV over here. I should be able to get there. Let's try it moving tangent. Combs going in and out. Let's see. I think it's probably the same issue. So I'm going to try grabbing this one, see if that'll make it go away. Just pops to 1.0, which probably means that there's some kind of an issue, probably due to the flatness of the surface. At least I can try to get rid of all of the other areas. Looks like that's proving a little bit difficult. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm going to try moving this one over here. Now you do have to be careful because, well, it is on the other side. I'm going to just touch this. Okay. So looking at that one, maybe I can adjust this one a little bit. Oh, there we go. And I got curvature there. Okay, so needed a little bit of refinement here. This isn't exactly the best way to do it, to be honest. Well, I got curvature, but if I'm switching, turning this one, basically I'm forcing a little bit of, I guess, a deviation in order to get curvature. So I'm not sure if that's the best way. Well, but at least I got curvature, so I'll say that's good enough. All right, so I'm just going to turn the lights off over here, just so that it's out of the way. And I did duplicate a curve over here, so I'm going to get that back. Say hide unselected, and let's see if I can get square over here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's going to be curved on all sides, including 4. However, 2 is going to, because I just aligned to curve, I'm just going to leave that as is. Now, you might think that the CV structure is absolutely out of whack, but that's okay. I'm going to say go to collinear option over here. It's going to be 1, 3, and 4. And let's see. That's a shame. Okay, so if you look at the structure over here, I think I probably need to do a little bit of refinement or something in order to get this all worked out nicely. But if you look at the CV structure, it's a little bit off, I should say. If you look at the spacing over here compared to this one over here, it's a little bit wider over here. However, let's find out how much it's off by, because the continuity is, well, it's one thing for CV structure to be off, but another for the continuity to be off at the same time. So looking at this, let's see. So it looks like there's a little tangency issue over here. And a little bit over here. Now, considering that everything is collinear, that does worry me a little bit. So now I'm going to try and break out Align tool and see if I can get some of these to be, if I can solve some of these. I think the CV structure looks pretty good overall, so I'm not too worried about that over there. But I'm going to, well, let's play around with the blend, boundary blend, see if I can get a little bit better alignment here and there. So it looks like that did reduce it from 0.22 to 0.29 over here to 0.12. So it's a little bit better there. And I'm going to see if I can play around with this one. Okay, so I got tangency there. Looks like tangency is starting to fail over here. Actually, you know what? That's starting to mess up the alignment over here. So maybe that's not the best idea. You know what? If that's the case, I think that's, to be honest, messing up with my continue over here a little bit too much. So I'm going to go ahead and align these ones separately. So I'm just going to align this one over here like this. So align, position influence, say I'm going to say vector. Okay, so I got curvature here. I'm going to say normal, view. Okay, so that's not too bad. And I'm going to try and get tangency over here. So let's align this one over here. That's actually breaking in a vector. Normal. Okay, so that doesn't really do much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the continue on, surface continue tool on over here, and I'm going to see if I can manually adjust these. So I'm going to just delete the construction history over here. Let's grab this one and probably this one as well. Actually, you know what? Looks like the peak is close to this one. So let's see if I can make some adjustments here. So I'm just going to do NUV, and I'll probably do this one at the same time. So I got, oh, well, it looks like I got curvature there. Starting to not get curvature, so let's do this. So that was not too bad. So I got curvature on two sides. It's 1.0, so I can probably ignore that. However, I'm going to make sure that the continue over here is good. So let's, okay, so it's actually 1.0, which means I can probably ignore it. But let's see if I can align it. So I'm going to align, and instead of doing that, I'm going to say project. What do you know? I got curvature on sides. So that's pretty good. Now the CV structure is a little bit off, but I think I'm just going to leave it because the highlight looks pretty good. All right, so that could have been actually a very difficult corner. Well, I guess I was able to do it, so not too bad. All right, so let's go ahead and delete the construction history over here, and let's take a look at everything else. So what I'm going to do is, since that error is resolved, I'm actually going to get rid of some of these surfaces over here because they are essentially duplicates. This one, I'm going to wait until I do the fillet over here. So I think this one's okay. Yeah, not too bad. Now, this one, however, I am going to reproject the COSs over there. So I'm going to say hide unselected. I'm going to untrim. And you'll notice that there are probably two over here. So for this one, because I aligned using project align, I got to get rid of the first one instead of the second one. So to number 3, in this case, number 3 is the latter one. So I'm going to get rid of number 2. And I'm just going to project over here, and I'm going to project over here. And let's go and trim. Okay, so that's good there. So I think that's pretty good. All right. So now I'm going to get rid of all the curves over here. I think the next step is just putting fillets over here and this one over here, and maybe just clean up this side. And I think we are pretty much done. well, I still have to put this one. I think that's going to be the last piece of the puzzle. But everything, I think the most of the, like the difficult fillets are now done. So if I just turn the highlights, I think the highlight flow is very good overall. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on these fillets over here. Now the bottom ones, they're a little bit, they're not as critical. So I'm probably not going to spend as much time doing those. But let's put those in. Now these ones are going to be a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's start with this one. I think this was a pretty generous size fillet. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a surface fillet. It's going to be chord, it's going to be G2. I'm going to turn variable fillet off. And let's go ahead and maybe put 100 over here. Let's say edge align over here. And let's make it a little bit bigger. So maybe instead of 100, maybe I'll do 200. So you know what? I think this can be quite sizable. So that's that, and maybe I can make it even bigger than that, because one of the things about this corner is that there needs to be a fillet over here too, so I do have to be conscious of that. And I'll probably want this to be a little bit more balanced. So actually, you know what, if that's the case, I'm going to see if I can put this one on first. Now this one is going to be a little bit smaller because of the real estate I have. So I'll just say 50. Oh, okay. So let's try 10. Okay, so I'm just going to, for this one, I'm just going to say default on both sides. Oh, well, this one, I should say edge align. And let's make it a little bit bigger and see how big of a fillet I can get in there. Now, this one, unfortunately, I think I probably have to do a little bit of custom fillet, because right now, I would prefer the theoreticals on the fillet to match. And as you can see, this one is it's leaning this way, whereas this one is leaning this way. So I'm probably going to have to do a little balance of both. Now that said, however, yeah, that one probably needs to be a little bit bigger. So let's do that. So I'm just going to undo over here. And let's go grab a curve. So I'm just going to snap one over here, snap one over here. So I'm just going to try and balance the two. To do this one over here. I think that's not too bad. Maybe I'll just use a stretch tool, make sure that it comes down a little bit over here, because I don't want this to stretch too far out. So maybe I'll just do something like that. All right. So I'm just going to project over here, project over here. I would say view, in this case, view should be appropriate. I'm going to trim here, I'm going to trim here. And I'm just going to connect ends, edge align over here. Actually, you know what? This one. Let's do this. Because of the weird shape, because if I do default, I think this patch becomes a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm just going to say G2 over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a connect ends so that I can stretch it a little bit over here. I'm going to modify the range though, so that it's a little bit balanced between the two. So I'm going to do something like that. I know that the CV structure is not the best, but this is what that's the best I can do. And this one, and I'm just going to match the boundary over here, and that's what I'm going to be using. So let's go ahead and grab a curve over here. I'm going to snap one here, and I'm going to snap this one over here. Let's make it a little bit longer by using scale and project this one. Trim here and trim here. I'm just going to use a freeform blend in order to connect the two. And of course, this one does need to be edge align. I think that's pretty good. However, I might do a little bit of balancing because I think the CV structure might be a little bit... Oh, actually, before I do that though, let's duplicate this edge like this. And let's put a square in. Now these curves I'm actually going to delete because I don't think I need them anymore. So I'm just going to do a square. So it's going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And actually let's get rid of boundary blends. And why isn't it letting me select? So it says there is a little bit of gap. I don't think there is a gap. So let's try going the other way. So sometimes selection, order of selection sometimes has an effect. Are you telling me that there is a gap? Because I don't see a gap. Oh, there is a gap. What do you know? But I'm not sure if this is the gap that's causing this. Now, because this is actually really small, let's find out. Because I don't think there's actually a gap. So according to a continuous checker, there is no gap. However, that is dependent upon construction options. Okay, so looks like the max gap is 0.001. It's on here, not over here. So if you want a little bit more specific, if you want to measure the specific area, you can always use a deviation tool. And as you can see, it's only off by 0.0008, which tells me that it's probably not an issue. So what you could do is, however, if you ever run into an issue like this, if you see this one over here, you'll see that, let's see, it's off by, where did it go? Separation is 0.4, which is not true. So in this case, what you can do is you can just duplicate the edge, align, and align to this edge, not this one. And let's see if that makes it. So I'm just going to do a square, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, to be honest, it's more of a recognition thing. So I don't know why it does this, but whatever. All right, so as you can see over here, the CV is not too bad. So maybe I can just leave it like this. The CV flow, to be honest, it's going a little bit towards the top side, but I think it'll do. All right, so that's the case. So let's delete the curve over here. I'm just going to delete the construction history on all of these. I'm going to delete the curve here, and I'm just going to untrim this one over here for the fourth edge. And now let's fill this up. So actually, you know what? This should be one edge, I believe. So let's go ahead and get the curve. Yep, I do have the curve. If you don't have the curve, you can always untrim the surface and just extend it a little bit. So let's use a square. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this curve, like this. Okay, so 1 is going to position, 4 is going to be position, 3 is going to be curvature, and 2 is also going to be curvature. But as you can see, it's failing. So I'm going to find out why. And I also prefer to keep this CV structure as degree 3 on this side, so that there aren't too many floating CVs. Now that said, however, I think the CV structure over here is a little bit weird, so I might have to do a little massaging here and there. So let's find out how much it's up by. Oh, that's not too bad. However, this one is actually failing by quite a bit. Okay, so in that case, what you can do is, well, actually, you know what? I might play around with this a little bit. So I'm just going to delete the construction history over here. And I think, to be honest, I think the CV structure is a little bit weird. So I'm just going to push that one in a little bit, as long as it doesn't mess with the continuity, with the curvature continue over there. Now, it's a little bit messy over here, but that's partly due to the direction. But I think it's okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the degree by maybe 1, so that it's a 4 degree, and I'm going to just use a line like this. Okay, so I got continue over here, but I didn't get continue over here. So let's increase the degree to 5 like this. Now the reason why I do this, make it degree 3 first, is because if I have started with degree 5, you'll see that these CV structures will be floating on its own. So it could be out here and still say it's curvature, but now because I started with degree 3, so it's nicely lined up. So that gives me a little bit more control over the highlight. So now let's go ahead and align this one over here with this one. I'm going to say vector. I'm going to say view. Normal. Well, let's try with normal and see how that does. So first of all, I'm just going to try and get tangency over here. I'm going to say partial. Okay, so now just going to delete the construction history, and I'm going to check for curvature on both sides. Okay, so if that's the case, let's align curvature here. And that's starting to mess it up. Okay, so if that's the case, I think it needs a little bit of handwork. But I'm going to try and get tangency over here first. I'm going to say vector. Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to leave it like that. Delete the construction history. Pick the locator, turn that off, and make sure that this is curvature. And let's go ahead and try to get curvature on both sides. Now the numbers are stacked on top of each other, so you got a little bit more observant in order to try to get this going. So it looks like it's decreasing the number over here. Oh, make sure you don't want to fail position over here. So let's try this one. It's increasing on one side versus the other. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Okay, so this one decreases both up to a point. So let's grab this one. See if I can. Okay, so I think I'm pretty close here, but it's going the other way. So I'm just going to take care of this one. Okay, so that's good there. I'm going to get rid of this one over here. Now this one is a bit more issue. So I'm going to grab this side. Make sure the comb over here doesn't get bigger. Starting to increase the comb there. Okay, so 0.16. I really need to get curvature on this side. Oh, it's this one that's causing the issue. Okay, so if that's the case, so let's try to get this one corrected first. Okay, so I think everything's good there. I think this one is still having a little bit of... Okay. Get rid of the comb there. So that got rid of the little comb that was there. I'm going to adjust this one. So if I can adjust this one over here. I feel like it's super close. Oh, that's why. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, so there's still a little bit of comb left. There we go. That got rid of it. I think this one also needs to be gone. It's just playing a little bit of seesaw over here and there. So let's try to touch this one. And okay, so that's curvature there. So the only thing I need to do is on this side. But everything I do over here is going to have an effect on this side. So what I can do is I can just go back to this one. I'm just going to make sure that I don't touch anything here. And let's see if I can adjust any of the this surface over here in order to get curvature. So it looks like the reversal of direction, it's really... Basically, I'm seesawing between the two areas. Oh, that's really annoying. Okay, so if that's the case, it is so close. Let's see if I can adjust this one. All right, if that's the case, I probably have to think of something else. All right, so if that's the case, so let's just finish this lesson over here. It's so close. However, I think I might have to approach this a little bit differently. Maybe try to change the angle of these two surfaces. So I'll tackle that one in the next lesson. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this curve over here. Yeah, and we'll pick this up in the next one. All right, so that is it for part 9. We will pick this up in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching. Want to learn more? Then become a member at 3ddesignacademy.com, where you will find hundreds of video tutorials ranging from basics, including car creations, intermediate level tutorials such as this wheel, all the way to Class A modeling of the interior car exterior. Interested? Visit 3ddesignacademy.com.